Ladies and gentlemen, if you would please stand with me for the pledge. Thank you. Mr. Hawk.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pastor Lake, would you please pray for us?
Lord, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for all that you do for us. Thank you for the beautiful day outside. And we go to the Bible in Proverbs 4:7. It says, wisdom is the principal thing. Get wisdom, get understanding. That's what we're after tonight, Lord. We need wisdom and understanding from your word, from the power of the Spirit of God. Help us to conduct business the way you would desire it to be conducted. Help us, Lord, and give us wisdom in our parts in this community and how to make it the best that it can be. We'll give you all the glory and praise and honor. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I'll call the meeting to order. First, we have approval of the minutes from a previous meeting. And we had a digital copy I did read, and we also had Board of Equalization minutes as well.
We do them separately.
Okay.
I'll move that the minutes from the previous commissioners' meeting be approved as presented.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Moving on to the Board of Equalization and Review. County Commission sat as Board of Equalization and Review, presided over a couple different cases, and those minutes were presented to the commissioners digitally. Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes, or do you gentlemen need a minute?
No, I read them. Did you?
I read them.
Yeah, I read them. I'll move that we approve those minutes as presented as well.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to approve the Board of Equalization and Review minutes as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passed. Moving on to President and Commissioners' reports. I did speak with Kim Ruddle, which I spoke to the commissioners about, and they were involved in that correspondence to put the Health Department project out for bids. I did meet with the grant writer at length a couple different times just to get updates on ARP, funding, allocations, and ongoing projects. Everything in my report seems to be great. I did want to commend Mr. Ronkin and his wife and his wife as a volunteer, give a lot of her time to bring us back into the fold, so to speak, and a new understanding on the way things are organized there. They've got it in an Excel document, so it's broke down well for the commissioners. And I thank Mrs. Timbrook as well for all her work and also helping Rolf get reorganized here. I don't have anything further to report on that, but I did attend the Planning Commission meeting. As I always give the commissioners the sums for our monthly totals. Let's see here. It was a little bit of a down month in January. Our total construction in the county, $578,879. Previous month, $1.26 million in construction. And then in November, $36,988,000. So we had a huge month there. And then, as we normally see as a contractor, especially, I understand December and January are always the worst months. But anyways, still some pretty decent projects going on. Monthly totals and permit fees for the county, $1,053. But the main thing to report to the commissioners is we did assemble a subcommittee for the Planning Commission to present their budget. But as I was saying there a second ago, the main thing is the discussion on a possible energy ordinance. We did talk at length about the solar issues in the county. I've had several would be an understatement of calls about the solar farm and potential farms in the county and their pros and cons, and I've talked to the lawmakers at length about it as well, and it seems that the way that the law is written at this time, the only way to, for lack of a better word, combat a majorly tax subsidized situation like we have with solar and using up good farmland would be to survey the county and see what the public thinks about a potential zoning ordinance and/or partial zoning of the county. And it was my recommendation that we go about that in the most democratic way possible and challenge all the planning commissioners. Every planning commissioner has a part to survey different approaches to how we could poll the public's pulse and opinion on solar, and would it appease the public, or would the public want a ordinance or a partial zoning of sectors of the county? So yeah, we're looking at phone polls, social media polls. We're investigating what is the most accurate polling we can do for the county, and then also hold some public hearings. So we're going to reconvene next month to see what would be the most fruitful way to poll the pulse of the county taxpayers and see what the consensus, if any, may be on solar, or potentially creating an ordinance to bring them under control. And I think that the number one thing that I would say across almost every call that I got would be the use of good farmland for solar. I don't think if a solar farm went in the old Copper's property that's full of contaminants and it's a reclamation site, that there would really be much blowback from the taxpayers. But when you use good farmland, among other things, I think that that's the big complaint. And of course, just by doing partial zoning, you could not keep them from solar completely in the county, but you would sector off parcels of land that are of some certain importance to the taxpayers. But yeah, it's a lot. I ran against zoning when I ran. To even say the Z word, it feels gross coming out of my mouth, because I don't want to tell any man or woman what to do with their land. And I've said that publicly many times. That's why we're going to go about this in the most democratic ways we can, see what the public thinks before any decisions are made. It's just merely a poll and a survey at this time. Also attended the Hampshire County Development Authority meeting. Nothing major to report with the finances, other than we did renew our CDs and negotiated a drastic increase in our CD negotiations, about 400% increase. I think we were less than a percent or 0.5%, and we're now negotiated 4.25% for our CDs. We did have an audit from Mr. Kunkel, which seemed to be quite extensive, as they explained from last year's audit. It was a heavy invoice amount, so I investigated that, and you know, that is an indicator of a couple of things. The Development Authority's definitely been a lot busier. We got a lot going on. So and we also had our LED grant approved and received, and I did see that a couple days ago, credit to Rebecca Hod and the Development Authority Board as a whole. She went out and she took it upon herself to go to Charleston and different places to visit with Economic Development Authority people and find out what they're doing well in other counties and see what we could do here. And she came up with Lunch and Learn, Hampshire on the Horizon. You know, we now have a subcommittee assembled to award a $10,000 grant to several different businesses showed up. So I'll report more on that as things develop, but trying to do some exciting things to get people interested in economic development. And that's all I have as of now. Vice President Eglinger, did you have something to report today?
Yes, I do. I went to the Board of Equalization meetings with, obviously with the other commissioners. Every January and February, we have several of those. I did do a site visit representing the commission for one person that had requested that through the assessor. I attended the auditor's office budget training down in Martinsburg last week, along with the clerk and Commissioner Hott. I was glad they have that. Budget's coming up. Not only do we have to figure out what to do with the county's money, but we have to do it by a certain set of rules too. So it's always good to brush up on that. And the Auditor McCuskey himself was there, which I was glad to see that too as well. Sometimes being up here in the Panhandle, we don't get those Charleston guys quite as often as the rest of them do, but he made the trip, and I appreciated that. Other than those meetings, I had a lot of research this time between meetings, phone calls, looking up stuff, code, and I won't go into the details of that, but that's just for the public. A lot of what you see here at our meetings is just the results of the stuff we have to do weekly as far as researching code, making phone calls about it, and finding things out. So particularly a lot of that this time. But that's all I have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hott, if you give me 1 second, I forgot to mention, I did meet with, put you to sleep, did meet with Judge Williams and the sheriff and Prosecutor Miller to go to Hampshire High School, and we formally introduced the FFA proclamation, and it was a huge turnout, and just wanted to thank the commission and those individuals, but the commission for the proclamation. And also I did want to mention that the commission did challenge the director of EMS, County EMS, to investigate some things with some of the surrounding counties to see some of the things that they're having success or not having success with, just so we could better learn and work on efficiency with EMS. So that was another thing that we all kind of worked on collectively. Thank you. Commissioner Hott?
Okay, I did the board review with the other two commissioners, and then we signed died on the 20th, I think, of February. So the board review and equalization is over for this year. I attended the budget meeting down in Martinsburg with the clerk and his staff and Commissioner Eglinger. And then last night I attended a meeting of the Eastern Action Agency up in Moorfield, where basically all we done was we had some training on ethics, and then we went over our strategic plan for the year, and basically that was all. That's all I have.
Thank
Well,
you.
wait a minute. Since you mentioned zoning, I'll tell you that years ago we talked about zoning and looked at zoning, and of course personally I'm against zoning. However, the commission can adopt certain things as far as zoning goes. But in my opinion, if we ever decide to do zoning, then we should take it we should put it on the ballot and let the people decide whether they want zoning or not. So
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Commissioner. I did mention that, and Mr. Hott's here, and I said even after a survey and a poll, I want this to be completely a taxpayer decision. It's just a very tough situation. I've always been against deregulating, not more regulation. And but when it comes to a specific thing like solar that's massively subsidized and it's created with policies that I strongly disagree with to begin with, it kind of makes it its own unique dynamic. And I want to be clear that the Planning Commission doesn't have that authority, even if those surveys developed a consensus that the taxpayers wanted it. It would still have to be recommended by the Planning Commission to the commissioners, in which your elected commissioners would make the final decision, or choose to put it on a ballot. Thank you for reminding me of that. Moving on, Mr. Matthew Hott, Romney Senior Center Kitchen. Good evening.
Good evening, Dennis.
Thank you, sir.
We had 6 contractors show up for a pre-bid meeting, and what was submitted.
2.
Had 6 show up and only 2 submitted. Kitchen like that. Sharp. When's the last time you sharpened that thing?
Thank you. Mr. Hott, can you recall the last time we put this out to bid? What was that figure
I think
that
it
we
was-
turned down?
I think it was 159, if I remember right. And
I was gonna say 160, Dave.
Wow, wow.
so, with this exercise, and what Commissioner Cannon has worked with the Romney Fire Company and Ms. Julie Linger and Mrs. Hott, so this way a contractor can now go in there, be unencumbered, and do the work while the Meals on Wheels program can work out of the Romney Fire Company kitchen. So that seemed like a huge thing.
I'll tell you, these are a lot better.
I told you, gentlemen, know a couple things about construction. Just- There's the contractor price, and then there's the busy contractor price. Or we don't need your work price.
Yes.
You already looked at.
So if I may share the contractors who were interested that I talked to, who did attend the pre-proposal meeting was James Alton Contracting, Josh Durst of Durst Enterprise, D&D Plumbing, Clark and Sons, Genesis Services, and Harbell. Those were the ones that attended.
And I don't mean to be presumptuous. I mean, because sometimes a contractor can misunderstand the scope of work, and then they bid on things that maybe they didn't understand. And so I should be careful with that because,
Well, I think before having that kitchen in operation and trying to upgrade it at the same time was working at nights and
Yeah,
clean up
yeah.
and do that would have been very difficult.
We, if we select one of these and then go ahead with the project, I think you or Dave, somebody was talking about using the fire hall kitchen up there in the interim? Okay. So that,
yeah, I went and met with GT a couple weeks ago, and I reported to Commissioner Agninger. It was his board that he took over as commissioner, and I had kind of facilitated a lot of this, so I wanted to help him along, not just throw it in his lap. So we've worked out what I think is a very fair deal, and I think Romney Fire has been very hospitable and just willing to help the community. So I think we have a great thing worked out, and that mandate made it a little different where we now have to serve 5 days a week regardless, but it's all worked out, I believe, and we just need to reimburse them for their propane. And when I say we, I mean either the Committee on Aging.
Yeah, and Dana's aware of that.
at this time, if nothing further, I move that we award the bid to D&D Plumbing.
Should we read the bids
Sure.
aloud, Commissioner, or we don't have to do that, or?
Yeah, he can.
We usually do. That's the only reason I.
Sorry about that. So we have 2 bids presented, one from Harbell Incorporated, and their total lump sum price, $67,725. The senior center project, and then D&D Plumbing, $62,550. And these scopes are almost identical. So we appreciate the contractors for your work and bids.
They both do good work.
They do. Hornbill does do very good work. But that's, we have a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Have a motion.
To grant the bid to D&D Plumbing.
Thank you, gentlemen. A motion and a second to approve the senior center kitchen project to D&D Plumbing for $62,550. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Thank you, Mr. Hott. I know
you.
long
Now,
run around.
Mr. President, you might have to refresh my memory, but I think we as a commission had committed $30,000 for this. And then the two delegates, each of them committed 10 apiece. Was that correct, or do we know?
So both of the delegates, Delegate Thorne and Delegate Hillenbrand, gave $5,000, and then Senator Trump and Senator Blair gave $5,000.
Oh, okay.
So I cannot recall, Mr. Clerk.
As I recall, it's 25,000. I'll have to look back at the minutes. It's been a year.
Yeah, I can't recall that number either. We'll have to look that up. But I am glad that I wanted to mention that both of our delegates and Senator Trump and Senator Blair had promised those funds to help that. Then we ran into the larger price, which I'm, again, glad that the commission decided to rebid it. Saved ourselves $100,000.
Thank you.
So,
Yes.
but yes, we'll have to have, I would say, Commissioner Hott, we'll have to have the clerk look that amount up. I do remember us designating an amount, but I can't recall what it was.
I personally was under the understanding that we were picking up the difference, but we'll look at that and,
Well, we can do that. I mean, I'm perfectly capable of that.
okay.
Because I think there's places where we can get funding to finish it up.
Okay.
And we really haven't done a lot to help the seniors the last few years. And
I think it's definitely a project that's doable now
Yeah.
with
Well,
that price. That's
Absolutely.
That's a much more
And
doable
that's-
project than what we had before.
I rant about this all the time, and, we have a lot of great elected officials, but maybe not in the fiscal column. And this is just a microcosm of how being fiscally responsible with one contract can save you $100,000. And I wish a lot of the other government entities around us thought more objectively about some of these prices. And I'm not going to go on a rant about engineers and contractors again, because I took a lot of heat for that, but they put their pants on just like we do, and their word's not the gospel. You need to triangulate your information and keep these people honest. Save you hundreds of thousands of dollars for our taxpayers. Did you want to move to that effect, Commissioner, or should we talk to Rolf? And
Well,
what would the balance be? Would be
So-
roughly 42,000
Yeah.
balance.
yeah, I'll move that the county commission, if the senators and the two delegates, if they do that, then we'll make up the difference, yes. And we can look at our ARP funding, because we have some tribal funding that we haven't used.
Okay.
Hasn't been allocated.
Okay.
Okay.
We
I'll
do-
make that motion.
Thank you, sir. We have secured, when I was on the committee, Commissioner Egninger, we had secured that money from Delegate Thorne. He hand-delivered the $20,000 check, and the Committee on Aging is in custody of that money.
Yeah,
and
they had made me aware, yeah.
Mr. Hott, you knew that. They're in custody of the 20,000.
I knew it was in play, I didn't know where it was.
So I have a motion on the floor to approve the balance after the lawmakers' 20,000. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passed. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on here. I think, Mr. Hott, I think you took my agenda with the bids. I apologize.
I've got a spare.
Thank you. That's okay.
You don't have any scratches?
That's all right.
Here, Matthew, take his.
Eric's good at keeping everyone straight. Moving on to our, got just a couple minutes, Mr. Clerk.
We have just a couple things. Assessor sent tax exonerations. We have two in-house budget resolutions from the sheriff's office.
Yes.
Mr. President, I move we approve the exoneration as presented by the assessor.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the exonerations as presented by the tax assessor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passed.
And then, Mr. President, in the response to the memos from the sheriff requesting at this time a budget revision for the year 23-24, the following amount of $1,000 transferred to line item 700-223 for professional services. Did you get to see that, Commissioner
I
Hott?
seen both of them.
You want to do them both together, Clerk?
I'd rather keep them separate.
All right.
Second that motion on the first one.
I have a motion and a second to approve the budget revision as presented by the sheriff. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Then also the memo requesting at this time a budget revision for the sheriff process for the 23-24 budget. And he's requesting the following revision from line item 701-459, capital outlay in the amount of $250 transferred to line item 701-217, maintenance and auto repair.
And I'll second that motion.
A motion and a second to approve the document as presented by the sheriff. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Thank you. Okay, if there's nothing further in the recess here, farmland preservation resolution.
Ms. Allison has that for you.
Hey, Allison, how are you today?
Good, how are y'all?
Good.
So I'm here on behalf of the Farmland Protection Board, and we are asking you all to sign a resolution reaffirming your support for the Farmland Protection Program. And this has come about, also I should mention that the resolution says at the bottom that you would also oppose any amendments that would seek to eliminate or weaken the permanent protection of ag lands. And this has come about from a rumored bill that it was never introduced, and it's probably too late to be introduced. But it was rumored that it had support to limit farmland protection easements to 25 years and take away the permanent protection status for that. And it would hurt our program by, we wouldn't be able to apply for federal funding, and anybody who would take a bargain sale could not do a charitable contribution with the IRS because both of those organizations require the easements to be permanent. And if we lost our permanent status, we could not benefit from either of those options. So the board's just, it was recommended by our Association of Farmland Protection Boards around the state that we get our county commissioners to basically reestablish or reaffirm their support for the program and oppose anything that would try to weaken the program, just as a preemptive kind of combat the bill that was rumored.
Who's the letter being sent to?
It's just a resolution that,
Okay.
and we would have it, give it to our Association of Farmland Protection Boards. They would take it to the Capitol if any legislation came about, just to show your support for the program.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the only things that commissioners can do to preserve our rural way of, well, there's many things we can do, but that's one of the biggest things that we can do. And you reported a couple months ago, we've protected about a little over 6,000 acres. So I absolutely would be in favor of supporting the resolution.
And I know Brian does because he sit on that board, and I'm still on that board, matter of fact. Anyway, this came about from what we were told from one of the delegates in the eastern part of further east than we are, I don't know exactly which county, but apparently had purchased some property that was in an easement, and of course he knew it was in an easement, but he wanted to eventually develop it. But there was never any move on that as far as the legislation goes.
No, last we heard it had gone to drafting, but it has never come out. So it was talked about, but it did not come out. So
Anyway, I'll move that we sign the resolution.
I'll second that motion.
A motion and a second that authorize do you want all three commissioners to sign?
yes, I have
Yeah.
a signature
Okay.
line for you.
I have a motion and a second to authorize the commission to sign the resolution as presented in support of farmland protection. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want yours? Okay, very good.
Does it need to be blue ink? Eric, this pen shot. It's, you have another one? Thank you. Thank you.
Still liking this, Allison? Good. Good. Yeah, it was in the beginnings, yeah. They were thinking about it, but we hadn't done any like that yet. Yep.
Two more properties in the works right now?
Various parts of the process.
Great. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk,
Sir.
should we move on here? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Because we can do estates if you want to.
We've got about 10 minutes here.
Yeah, I'm good. States.
That should be sufficient.
For those of you that didn't hear, I'd asked Allison how many properties we had in the works. I knew about 2, and she said we're working on about 5 more properties to put into farmland protection.
same one.
Okay.
You must have 3 colors.
2 signatures? Okay.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, I move the commission approve all probate orders, fiduciary appointments and qualifications, and all fiduciary bonds coming before the clerk in the vacation of the commission since its last regular meeting.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. The County Commission approves all probate orders, fiduciary appointments, qualifications, and all fiduciary bonds coming before the clerk in the vacation of the commission since its last regular meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passed.
These are things you guys sign. You already approved that.
Yeah, we approved that one.
And this one doesn't need approval, it's just under the, start signing on that. That's just the stuff you do on the grants for region.
So do we need, okay, all right.
I just need signatures on what we're still
Okay, yeah, okay.
She sent that right after our last meeting.
Okay. You got a patent on that signature? Huh?
After this job, it won't be worth much.
This is,
You gotta sign. We don't need any action on it, just, he has to sign. That's Region H.
yeah, I just,
We don't need any action, you just sign. You sign.
Thank you. We're a little ahead of schedule here, but see, Director Malcolm is here, so Mr. Malcolm, you ready to present the salary enhancement fund transfer proposal?
Yes, sir. Evening, Commissioners. Thank you all for
Good
having me
evening.
here this evening. It's all right. I'll give you a breakdown.
Thank you.
The news first come out about the salary enhancement funding from the state. we went ahead and started working on it from our side of it. What we done was this, as you can see up at the top, we gave $1 an hour, and then for shift differential nights, we gave $2 an hour, trying to keep people in work. So any amount, I don't know what you have, but any amount up to that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I got to break down.
Okay.
So I think until another time we'll discuss that.
Okay.
I don't know whether Brian's got that letter or not. But this total here don't come up to the total he's got. This is what they gave us. 143, 763, 2021.
So this is what was sent, and this is what's requested.
No,
Sent.
no, this is the total right here.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what we can do for the salary enhancement.
Okay.
And this is what we can do for the crisis response services.
Okay.
So we wanna hold that.
Okay.
We just wanna transfer this.
Yeah.
Okay?
Let me see that.
Yeah. Ted, while you're here, we were talking before the meeting about the health department, the climate control room. Did you get with Tamitha on that and come up with any dates or anything? As far
Yes,
as-
we, Ms. Wilkins contacted Kim yesterday, and she was concurring with the dates that she put up, and I also concurred today with them. So the dates that they posted was good with us.
Okay. So that's the 4th, the 18th?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
The dates that were in the email were sufficient and good. We'll work with them.
Was the president has to sign that document so we can,
Yes, I assume Ms. Ruddle will handle that.
she should have had it down here.
This is from,
I didn't look that far ahead, sir.
Pardon me? Yeah, but he can sign, we can have him sign it anytime. Yeah, we're not gonna do that here.
yeah,
We're gonna do it at the courthouse?
140.
That's what I would suggest,
Okay,
yes.
all right, that's fine, I don't care.
I mean, that's your all's and Ms. Wilkins' call, really, but I'm fine with that. And this is the central location, so.
Okay.
I can't answer that one.
We could always do this later.
Yes, that's why I'll make my calendar
Okay.
match.
You're comfortable with it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Trust you.
Whether you want to do that or not, I'm comfortable with it. Mr. President, on the matter of the salary enhancement award that we received, I moved at $125,581.40 be transferred to the fee account, the ambulance fee account. Yeah. not the non-fee account.
I'll second that motion.
See, that's where all the salaries come
Okay.
out. If they put it in the other, they can take it out and move it to the other.
Yeah, I understand. I have a motion on the floor to approve $125,580.40.
8140.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you, gentlemen. You have anything else for me?
Not right now.
Did you want to talk to Mr. Malcolm about the health department?
I
He
just
was
asked him.
offline,
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
Sorry.
While you was
Jabber.
doing that, I was asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do is move to authorize you to sign that document,
Okay.
and when we get it.
The other thing was the dates. It seemed like Mrs. Ruddle, I thought she was emailing all of us on the dates that she wanted to do the bid opening, but she was really just emailing me. So I guess what I'm asking is, Tad and you gentlemen, are you okay with April 17th at 1:30 and March 18th and then April 17th at 1:30 PM? Would y'all check are you okay with those?
I'm okay if I'm not
Okay.
I'll make whatever I can have to work, sir.
I mean, we can change it.
Well,
Just need to
I'd
do
like
it
to-
today.
I like to set it so we get.
Okay.
Because if we don't, then they'll drag this thing out.
What were those dates again, Commissioner?
March 18th, and then also April 17th at 1:30 PM.
I can make that work.
Both of them were at 1:30,
I'll be leaving for
or the other?
the CERT conference on Monday evening, so I can make that work, not a problem.
Okay. She didn't give me a time on March 18th. I just said I was available March 18th, but April 17th, I had Development Authority and other meetings until 1:30.
See, so I can make a motion is right.
March 18th and April 17th.
Yeah, the 18th's a Monday, and we head to
Where's the
Daniels,
negotiation?
West Virginia. Never been
I
there.
see it, I got it. Mr. President, I move we authorize you to sign the bid documents for Region 8 for the Health Department climate control room and facilities work.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to authorize the president to sign the document to allow Mrs. Ruddle to open the bid process for the Health Department project. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passed. And the other thing, gentlemen, do you have a preference of where we do the bid conference? You want to do it
Historically,
here?
we've done most of them here, sir. I mean, I'm fine with that, but whatever you all want to do.
I'm fine with here, as long as Eric doesn't have any election stuff.
Okay, okay, thanks, Tad.
All right, thank you all.
Appreciate
Have a
you.
good evening.
Moving on, we're about 15 minutes ahead of schedule, gentlemen. Just move right along if Mr. Rawkin is available. And he is here regarding paving and a bid opening for a REAP recycling grant. How are you today, sir? Thank you. These are all bids? Okay.
That bid is
one's
for the recycling containers, and the other 4 bids are
One bid for
asphalt.
bins? Bins? I'll let you gentlemen take a look. Here you go, Bob.
Yeah, go on.
Get your fingerprints off of that one. Mr. Rawkin, did you want to explain a little bit for the public, please?
Yes, sir. So, last year, we put in a bid for $149,640, and we actually received that bid. It's broken down over basically 6 items: asphalt, recycling containers, concrete pads, glass crusher, a gate, and salaries. We have successfully gotten a 2 24-foot by 24-foot concrete pads out at the Augusta Recycling Center. We had estimated it to be $25,000. It came in at $9,473.60, a savings of $15,526.40. The glass crusher, we had estimated to be $17,450, and that came in at $9,315, a savings of $8,135. So we're kind of ahead right now. The asphalt, we'll see tonight how close we were on that. We had estimated it to be $43,500, and the containers to be $53,680. So I'm either going to look good tonight or not so good, depending on how those bids came in.
Well, our one bid, you say, for the bins, $52,680.
$52,680?
Yes, and I would like you to look over their scope of work real quick to make sure it's comprehensive, for lack of a better word, inclusive of everything you expected, or we're expecting here. And he has a spec sheet on the container itself. It looks to me like they made a request that we circle and explain in the exceptions. Both of these are spec'd a little different, both 18 feet and 25 cubic yard with one internal compartment, but seems to me the gauge of steel may be a little different on either of these.
Yes, sir. The three of the recycling bins, we wanted larger doors, not the slots. So that's why you see that. And the one has basically cardboard slots with flaps on them so they can be lockable. Looking at their proposal here, about the only thing that I see as a question is we are responsible for unloading the truck upon arrival. Not quite sure how that truck will look versus what we would need to get those things off the truck. So I would have to look a little bit into that. If they're roll-off, it won't be a big deal. If we need a crane, that will probably be an additional expense.
Romney crane rental is a $550 4-hour minimum. That's the only one I know about. But anyways,
Yeah, it's not a it's not a showstopper.
I think Judy,
thank you.
concrete has to.
Okay.
Yes.
That's right.
We used to have it.
And commissioners, because of the cost of these, we will have to, after you guys accept one of the bids, we will have to send that back down to Charleston DEP REAP in order to get that approved through their office.
Now, have you cross-referenced these containers to other vendors to see if this is a fair price?
These are true recycling bins. I did reach out to the people that did our original bins. They seem to be damn expensive, to be quite honest with you, but I offered to send things out, the proposal, and I didn't get any interest, unlike the asphalt where I had a lot of interest on that.
Okay.
Two different little, yeah, there's two different, yeah.
We had actually put that in there, the circling at the bottom, to give an opportunity for other recycling bin manufacturers an opportunity to go, hey, we don't have exactly this, but we can do this. And there's just not any interest. We advertised in the Martinsburg paper and the Hampshire Review.
Did you saw the bids?
Yeah, I saw all those, yeah, they're all fairly close except one. It's higher than the
That's
rest of
the
them.
specifications on the bids.
Here, here's one. Here's one. Here's one. This one's kind of the ballpark.
And gentlemen, the one thing I would like you to look at on those bids is I required them to give us the cubic yards of asphalt in order to see, or in order to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples. So on all those bids, they should have the total amount of cubic yards they're talking about for asphalt.
Yeah. So to be clear, Lillard Brothers Asphalt is a separate entity from Lillard Paving and Excavating?
Right. Yeah.
Yes, it
Okay.
appears that it is. They came in with two separate bids.
And one here is 1,305 square yards, and the other one is almost 1,500 square yards. So definitely a disparity there.
Did the others give square yards too?
Clearly, they either think it takes more, or they're spec'ing a thicker asphalt.
Okay.
What was the mandate of the grant?
3
Thickness?
inches.
3 inches?
Compacted 3 inches.
Okay, so he's good, 2 inches, and then over your top layer, 3 inches. Okay. 28, 24.
This one's actually 32, because it's, see,
Okay, okay.
they didn't give a total there. They got it separated out, but they didn't total it. So it's 32,775.
32. This one here, I mean. He's also putting some more
Yeah,
work on.
yeah. I mean, as long as it looks like it's legit compared to the quality and amount as the others.
Yeah, they've done both of these projects, we've got a lot of payment. But, do you have any thoughts, sir?
Well, that was extremely different than the others. I mean, it's about 10,000 more.
Yeah, that one's like 39.
Okay, yeah.
The other three are all comparable. I mean, they're close, all three of them.
Yeah, they must be further away, they have a lot higher mobilization cost, which,
Who would
They're
that
down in
be?
Winchester, is that where they're at? Where were they?
um,
Where did I see that?
I'd have to look at that one, I'm not sure.
Let's see, where did I see where they was at?
Who sent their copy of their contractor license? Was that this gentleman?
I think so.
Okay. So, for the public, we have, quite a few bids for the paving. One would be Carroll Construction, $39,210. Lillard Paving and Excavating LLC would be $31,357. Lillard Brothers Asphalt Incorporated of Pinto, Maryland would be $23,940. And then we have Belt Paving at I'm gonna have to tabulate this gentleman. He has it broke down here.
32,775.
And then we have Belt Paving at $32,775. I guess being that this is the low bid, Rolf, I asked you that 3 inches is the mandated
Yes, it is.
spec from the grant, and this gentleman does have that depth spec'd in his scope of work, and it also seems he allotted for more blacktop, so totally up.
Let Rolf look at that to make sure everything's there that you discussed with the applicants.
You can't complain about the price.
And the specs
It
are,
meets the spec.
okay.
With that, Mr. President, I'll move that the Hampshire County Commission accept the bid from Liller Brothers Asphalt, Pinto, Maryland, for the amount of $23,940 for the prep work and asphalt work at the recycling center.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve the bid as presented by Liller Brothers Asphalt Incorporated of Pinto, Maryland for $23,940. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passed. We have the bins, gentlemen.
Okay, now I have it. Who's got that? Give it back to you.
That was the 52,
That's pro,
I'm sorry.
right here. David. Here you go.
680.
That would be 4 bins.
Yes.
Mr. President, I move that we accept the bid of Protainer out of Alexander, Minnesota, for the amount of $52,680 for the recycling containers.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the bid as presented by Protainer of Alexandria, Minnesota. And the price would be $52,680. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passed. Anything else, gentlemen?
The only thing I want to let you know is because we're coming in so under budget, we can move money, and we'll move money, we can move up to $25,000 into salaries, since we have salary, and we can also move it into other items that are on the grant. So the intent will be to move the maximum amount of money at the end of this quarter to salaries, which will pay Mr. Lang's salary for the entire year, and then some. So it's good news all around.
It is good news.
Do you need a motion to that effect, Commissioner, for your committee?
Let's,
Could I ask that you wait on that until we get the exact numbers, and then I can give that to you?
yeah, it still has to be done. I don't think it has to be done. Yeah.
Mr. President, if I could, I would like to take this time to thank the committee for their hard work and for public understanding of this. I just, want folks to know that the committee has worked to do all this, and our recycling has grown, and people like it and use it, but they've done it all with little to none county money. The county does add some labor out there, but all this has been done through aggressive going after grants and finding ways to do it without using county money. And I commend them for that because when we used to talk about recycling, people liked it, but they didn't like the county having to spend that money. Now, these grants are state and federal, which is your tax dollars too, but again, I'll commend them for bringing that state and federal money back to Hampshire County rather than it going somewhere else. So, good job, guys.
Excellent. And the volunteer hours that Dorothy Kingla and the crowd put in, and Rolf and his family especially, really, really appreciate it. I believe commission only gives about 20,000 last year to the whole entire outfit. So,
I thank you, gentlemen, but I would like to also say a couple of other things, if you don't mind, on the record.
okay.
First of all, Mr. Ricky Lang joined the county as a part-time employee here in October. He's moved 27 bins up to Cumberland, and in doing so, he's cut the cost of the county's costs by 55%. The next thing I would like to mention is that recycling couldn't be done without the support of the county commission, the county clerk, and you guys have been supportive since I've been around. I haven't been around forever. I'm the new guy. I think in the Army term, I'm the FNG. I want to, on record, state how important the support from this county commission has been. I'm a conservative, fiscally conservative guy. I don't want to spend money any more than anybody else does. We have greater needs, I would say, in this county than recycling. But we're doing this recycling at a fraction of what other counties do because we're using smart money. I would like to make one correction at the risk of alienating everybody, but this money that we get from the grant every other year from West Virginia State is not state tax money. It is money that they collect at the transfer stations. It's a portion of that that goes back. This year it was $2 million. The nice thing about that is you can actually tell every constituent in this county that it didn't cost them a dime to have the great recycling that we have, because it didn't.
And the thing is, to bring the cardboard, it don't cost them anything. We absorb it all, and the grant absorbs it all. And we're one of the few counties that has anything like that. Matter of fact, when we started this thing back, I forget how many years ago, we were very cautious about how we done it. They wanted us to do plastic and this and that, and we stepped back and we said we're going to take our time, and we did. And you guys in the last year have really moved this thing forward further than I ever thought. Just like now, paving the lot, and it's really come a long way in the last year or so. And I like Brian I really appreciate that.
Well,
Because,
we're going to.
And the other thing is, it's not a junk hole. It looks nice and clean out there, and that's what we was always afraid of, getting it to be junked up, and that's never happened. And I very much appreciate it.
Well,
and then there's a lot further we can go, but I think, as we have in the past, we take our time and make sure that we want to take certain steps further, which I know we can, but I think we have to be careful as to how we proceed with that as far as plastics and stuff and glass and stuff goes.
well, a shout out to the Hampshire County, or the Hampshire Cooperative, Recycling Cooperative, because they provide a volunteer, at least one volunteer, for the entire time that the recycling is open, and they are doing that without fail. The other thing that I really want to stress is that Mr. Lang here runs the county recycling center, whether it's snowy out, whether it's crappy out, and he does it without any complaining. And I really appreciate his help.
Thank you, sir.
It's a generational thing,
Yeah.
without complaining.
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you. Rawl?
Yep.
16 and 17? Go ahead.
Well, no further scheduled items, gentlemen. Commissioners have anything further?
We do need to address the letter of correspondence.
Executive session?
No, I don't know. I don't know that it needs to be executive session. The letter for correspondence.
We can bring it up. I mean, it's a letter, it's a reply to the letter we sent. I mean, we.
Correct. Correct. Do we want to take any action in response to the letter?
Well, the only thing I would like to do is, if in response to the letter, is let the prosecutor look at it and see what, let the prosecutor look at all the deeds and so forth to make sure that everything is there the way we think it's there.
Yes. And for the public, a few meetings back, the commission moved to send the Springfield Rescue Squad a letter requesting use of the building there on county land in Springfield. And we did receive a response, and I believe Commissioner Egninger did a lot of research on their articles of incorporation, which are relevant. I believe we all agree, and there are facets to those articles of incorporation that bind them to certain actions if they were to be dissolved, either by themselves or the county commissioners. And also further, there was two other documents, Commissioner, the extension of lease agreement, and the third document, sir, there was articles of incorporation, and then there was lease agreement in June 1976, and then there was also a further agreement in 1998, along with the articles of incorporation. I believe at this time the commission is requesting that the prosecutor look at the documents and processes. And do I hear a motion to that effect?
Yeah, I'll move to that, and to, for her to give us some advice on that.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passed. Did you get these documents?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've had them for years, if I could find them.
Before we do the invoices, see we have a little bit of a crowd here. Commissioner Egninger did a public comment section, so I will entertain that. As President, I would ask that you keep it to 1 minute. It can be a comment. You must come up to the microphone and state your name. The county commissioners cannot move on anything that's not on the agenda, and need not respond unless it please them to do so. Do I have anybody that would like to say anything today? If not, yes, sir. Yes, sir, please. Public's very interested in what you have to say, Chaplain.
Preachers don't need a microphone, though. all the
Yeah,
time.
you don't need a microphone.
I would just like you to, when you were talking about zoning and solar panels, explain your stand on solar panels and how that relates. Just better explain it to me, because I don't know what you're talking about.
My opinion individually as one
Yeah.
commissioner.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, on the zoning aspect, I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but I'm not into telling people what to do with their land. So this will be a coordinated effort to simply survey the public's pulse on zoning. And the county commission has the authority to create zoning in the county as a whole, in which the municipalities can legally adopt what we zone, and/or if they choose not to, they don't have to. But we can also legally zone just portions of the county. And my philosophy is it's very hard. I've challenged our lawmakers to, if this solar thing is really something that West Virginia does not want in a major majority or any majority, then they ought to give us the power to combat that individually and not force us to zone in order to combat
So
the
it
situation.
sort of sounds like to me that you feel a little pressured into solar, and this is your way of kind of trying to combat that a little bit.
Well, just to get the
I don't
pulse of the
know.
community. So personally, I think the policies that subsidize these organizations are very unfair. Your sons run businesses, you ran many businesses, I run a business. I've never got any of these subsidies. They get major tax credits in which they can sell. There's a lot of things. I'm all about diversifying our energy. My big thing is let's not use good farmland to, so we had a presentation, and I would challenge you guys to triangulate your information as well. But based on this specific scientist that presented to us, it would take 2.5 states of West Virginia covered in solar panels to power the nation. Now, the efficiency of those panels, I mean, you know, there's a lot of buzz statements and things on solar. I need to triangulate a lot of the stuff that he said as well, and I challenge the Planning Commission to do that. But at the efficiency that they're at now, we'd have to cover the whole nation in them to power the nation. So they're just not efficient. And also, you know, we have this pilot program where we can give them a tax break, but we can't give you a tax break. We can't give any of these people a tax break, but just them. You know, I just think it's an unfair situation.
So to put it in hillbilly, because I need to translate into hillbilly. So you see a potential problem with solar, like as far as pressure goes, and you're trying to beat the curve on it by doing and checking to see what we think about?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's what I thought, but it needed to be put in
There's
hillbilly.
there's no major legislation on the local level to deal with them if they come in masses.
Because what it sounded like is that you want solar, and that's why you're zoning. That's kind of what, that's kind of like, I'm not saying you said that. I'm saying me sitting here,
Okay.
that's sort of what I heard.
Oh, well.
And then afterwards, I said, well, I think he's talking about, you know, so that's why I just wanted better clarification.
no.
It makes sense.
No, I'm not a
It
big,
makes more sense, I should
or
say.
wind for that matter. They're just not efficient at this time, and.
We have a lot of hot air in Hampshire County. We don't need wind.
And to get on that pilot program, originally the pilot, well, I think it's still in law. The pilot program was set up so that they could put these solar panels on unclaimed, like mining, strip mining areas, or maybe even like down at Coppers where you can't build a house on account of the hazardous material. So that's what the pilot program was set up for. Well, they wanted us to give them a pilot program for the one out at Augusta, and we didn't. And they never come back and really ask, but we indicated that we wouldn't do that. And I feel the same way he does about it. They're subsidized. The federal government subsidized them, and so does the state. And they, if they couldn't be if they weren't subsidized, they wouldn't be putting them up.
Right.
Wouldn't be putting them up. And to me, it tears farmland up. You know, it just don't look good.
It changes the landscape, yeah.
And Pastor, I'll just comment too, since you heard from the other two as well. And I had an engineer come out to my house and talk to me about this specific problem in the county, nothing for my farm or house or anything, but our specific problem here in the county. And I'll echo what the other commissioners say, you know, they're very subsidized and the efficiency of them is poor. And there's several other variables about them, you know, they're not, you know, what do you do with them when they're done, you know, when they don't successfully absorb the sunlight anymore. And you know, they're big fields of mirrors, which people aren't going to like. But this specific engineer, and he was an environmental guy, you know, and I'm not always on the same side there, but you know, he admitted that they're so inefficient and there's so many other variables about them that good old coal's just as good.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know that I would personally, and again, I respect the right to do with what your land, your own land, what you want to do. You know, that one's really hard for me, but at the same time, I see this, you know, why would Hampshire County want a bunch of mirrors all over our county for electricity that we won't even be using? It's all going to go to Washington, D.C. and Baltimore.
There are so many personal ways that if I wanted solar, I can seek it out personally. You can get subsidized personally.
Sure.
You know, so if somebody wants
As far
to
as you
seek
put
it
it
out,
on
seek
your
it
house,
out.
I wouldn't have any trouble with that at all.
Yeah.
But I want you to know up front that I'm against that. And
I
always
better
have.
understand what you're saying. That's why I
And
just
I
wanted
think,
a little
really, I think both
clarification.
of these gentlemen are too.
Yeah.
And, I mean, at the end of the day, I think they are. But we're trying to look at something to be specific.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I think it's going to be hard to do. Eventually, what if I want to put a chicken, so say we do that, and then I want to put a chicken house up, which I'm not going to, and you're my neighbor, you know, so then it's going to start affecting, they're going to say, well, we've done it for solar, we can do it for chicken houses.
Right, yeah.
Hog farm, you know, so it's real touchy. And especially since we live where we live. You know, zoning that's foreign to us, you know, we're used to doing what we want to on our land.
Yeah.
But I'm also against solar farms, so there, that's.
Yeah.
It's a tough one, Pastor,
Yeah.
and we've gotten several calls about it, at least I have. I
Oh,
mean,
God.
that everybody wants to understand it better.
Yeah.
So your questions are good to
Thank you
to
for
help
that
the public
And
learn
the
more.
only other comment I want to make is I appreciate these evening meetings. When I encourage people to come to the meeting and they say, well, I can't make it in the morning, it is nice to be able to say, hey, there's an evening meeting you can come to. So I just want to say I really appreciate that.
Appreciate you coming and praying
Yeah,
for us.
thank you
Keep-
for
keep on
praying for us.
too.
Hope everybody keeps praying for us. I wanted to clarify, for that gentleman's statistic, I found it here. In order to power the United States, you would need 13,600,000 acres of solar panels, and that would be 8.88 states of West Virginia completely covered to power the nation. And I think also as a conservative and as a conservative county, the other big item, along with taking up good farmland, is, you know, supporting bad policy. Until they are a viable business where they can make the amount of revenue they need without all of our tax money subsidizing them, I don't want to be in support of that. But I don't necessarily want to implement zoning, so I challenge our lawmakers to work with us, you know, if they want to do it, like he said, Commissioner said, on reclaimed land, that's can't stop them from doing it in the whole county, but using good farmland just doesn't seem like the best choice to me. Anyways, thank you for that question. And if you want to be told what to do with your land, go live in one of the 2 municipalities or the 20-some HOAs that we have. That's what I've always said. I don't want to tell you what to do with your land. Yes, sir. Your name, sir?
Good evening. Alan Sirota, 4901 Jersey Mountain Road.
Mr. Sirota.
I got a question. On the solar panels, the hazmat problem with them, why don't you all, if you're so concerned about these farms popping up, why don't you have these people put up bonds just for the hazmat cleanup?
They do, sir.
They make it cost prohibitive.
They do. So they have to obtain a solar, the lawmakers did do that, and I give them a lot of credit. In order for them to even come to our planning commission, they must have a solar siting certificate with a full surety bond, and that it can't be overseen by anybody other than a third-party agency. So once that solar farm is built, they will have a third-party agency come in and value the panels and what it would cost to tear them down. And that, by contract, is supposed to be done throughout the duration of, and I believe, I don't want to be misquoted, I believe it's every 5 to 10 years that it has to be reassessed on what it would cost to tear them down. And they have to secure bonds to that sum. So if they were to go out of business, anything like that would happen, they would have to have the money in place before they build, before they finish, to pay for tearing it down. And as far as the hazmat, I personally have done a lot of research on that. There's no scientific proof yet. Now, I've seen the emails that went out, and I did do some digging, and of those emails, I found that they were connected to the opponents of this Energix that uses cadmium telluride, which is a toxic chemical. But it's a toxic chemical when derived or when extracted from the panel. If it was demolished, grinded up, things of that nature, that's what my research shows. There's no current research that proves that just by them sitting in the sun, they release that cadmium telluride. But I have concerns about it too, and I've done a lot of research on it. And that would be an EPA matter as well. And they're well aware.
Well, that brings me to my second question. Are these people required to have insurance? Say a bunch of kids get the hankering to throw some rocks at them one night. Who's going to clean it up? Who's going to pay for it?
Well, they will, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Just general liability policy, but that's not something that this commission could get involved in, forcing them to.
But do you make them have that?
We can't force somebody to have general liability policy.
They've got that before they have that before they ever got their permit.
Yeah, we don't have the authority from the lawmakers to make a county ordinance that you have to have a general liability policy. We don't have the authority from the lawmakers to.
See, they got their first permit from the state. That's where they started, and then they came to us.
Somebody dropped the ball.
Yeah,
Good evening,
yes,
Mr.
sir. Challenge your lawmakers.
City enforcers.
Thank you, guys. Moving on to, if there's no one else, ma'am? Pastor Lake, I let you go over 1 minute now. Now I have to let them go over.
Oh, I'm not going to speak very long. Mr. Hott, I hope you enjoy your retirement and you can
Thank you.
do great like Mr. Carter did. In the 70s, Mr. Carter and his wife ended a lot of the mental institutions. And now we seem to have them walking all amongst us. And the mental patients are infringing upon the rights of law-abiding, normal citizens, tax-paying citizens. I'm going to speak on this for Alan Sirota because of what is going on with his neighbor, which is an ongoing battle with lights across the road, which, from what I am aware, the Jersey Mountain Road is a major road where people are driving up to 70 or 80 miles per hour. There are bright lights shining across that highway, which would be a commission issue to at least get these lights turned off as a form of harassment against Mr. Sirota and this ongoing feud that is going to, in my estimation, eventually lead to somebody getting hurt. And Alan has written to you about this, and his next action is not going to be very pretty for the legality of this county. So I am here. As I was laying in bed last night, the Lord asked me to come here as an intermediary because I've been praying on this. I've been concerned for the safety of the parishioners at Hope Church. I've talked to Pastor Dave about this, to have all of your security people have pictures of this person, because every hallmark is there of the Lakewood shooter besides the transgender for this woman that has been allowed to harass this county and its citizens who pay their taxes and live here for many years now.
Okay, first of all, I do think the sheriff has been involved in this numerous times with the person you're talking about and the gentleman, I guess, that was sitting up here.
Yes.
And I did get a letter from him with pictures. And I talked to the sheriff about it, and he has responded. And so I suggest that's who you talk to get.
I have talked to the sheriff. They wanted me to go to the magistrate,
Well, then.
which Eli Leatherman has already went to the magistrate because of what is being said on social media is considered freedom of speech. So at some point, we get to the point of when threats become reality and nothing is done to prevent that.
Anyway, I think that's the avenue you should.
But I'm certain that you could certainly look at the lights that cross the street. I believe, Mr. Cannon, you drive down Jersey Mountain Road to go to your house.
No, ma'am, but I do drive
There are many
that road a
people that
lot.
come into the diner complaining about the lights and the blindingness of the lights.
We know exactly where you're talking about.
We don't
I
have
don't know
a-
anything about the lights, but I do know where you're.
And there are West Virginia ordinances against this, that
Well-
they should just be pointed at her front property at least.
This county does not have a lighting ordinance, so we need to be clear.
Yeah,
We
and-
don't have a lighting ordinance.
And I'm not, and I'm going to sit here and argue with you about this. I think the best thing you do is go to the sheriff, and if he can help you, and if he can't, go to the magistrate court. Take it to civil court.
Absolutely.
That's, you have a right to do that, and that's what I would do. I would take it to civil court and see what can happen. We don't have authority here to do anything with that.
There are no ordinances available.
No, not to my knowledge. We have no ordinances that would affect that.
You can look through the books,
We
because
have
we've pulled
no-
up light
we have no
ordinances.
noise. We don't have a noise ordinance or, to my knowledge, any kind of a lighting ordinance.
We
at all.
don't, no, sir. We have a exotic entertainment ordinance, a subdivision ordinance. We have a salvage yard ordinance. And to my knowledge, there may be one other ordinance. We do not have a lighting ordinance or a noise ordinance. You know, that-
I'm all for freedom. I'm the William Wallace of women. I'm all for freedom. But see, this is just another area where it proves to me that, you know, maybe I'm more of an anarchist, because apparently this is, you know, you all are about as worthless as tits on a frog to prevent anything. And when you have to
You're
wake up
done.
in the
You're
morning.
done. That'll be it. You're done.
Wake up in
Go.
the morning when some
Go.
child is murdered.
Another word and I'll hold you in contempt. Shut your mouth. You can leave, sir. That's enough. Absolutely out of order. Ridiculous. Invoices, gentlemen. There you go. Just a survey, Mr. Floyd. Hey, weigh in on it.
See, he sent me a letter. He also said he copied delegates and everything. And so I just called Nathan about it, and he told me they've been out there a lot of times, but he said it's one's bad as the other.
And she's not even the victim. You know? Speaking up here on someone else's behalf. I'm done. We're moving on.
I've already looked at the invoice while you was talking. Remember one time I was telling you about, it's not ever take anybody off of a wheel if they're executive. Which they're talking about, we done that. Because she just wasn't competent to handle it. But we have no authority. Like I said, it's just, one's just as bad as the other.
I know. I talked to the sheriff about it. Unbelievable.
It's what I said, at least we got some. That's all we got. Did you see in there, well, what do you got to me? Some of them automobile bills again?
I talked to Nathan about those, and he has
Yeah,
the
too.
same concerns.
You don't know, we don't have a good solution to it. I do know parts and everything is high. I do know that. There's a couple $1,900 in there.
Does he talk more about putting it out for bids?
Well, he's never seen, who does his mechanical work up there, CJ? You know him?
See, Josh, oh, shoot. He's a great mechanic, just, it just, lot of work.
Well, the thing that gets me too is they know it's government money too. They know they're gonna get it.
Yeah. But the thing is, he come in and he's the expert and he says, you know, it needs
know,
this,
I know.
and then we say no and something happens and
I know that.
then we're roped.
I don't think Nathan's complaining about the quality of what's there. He's just about the price. I don't bitch about quality. If somebody does good work, I don't bitch about that.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a talented mechanic. I mean, there's nothing he can't do. Transmissions and engines, exhaust, brakes. Should have kept this job, Brian. I'm not good at being the bad guy. What did Mark do? Warren? Emergency service? We have a water leak? Or
Where's that at?
page, Mark's,
I don't know what they did out there.
do we have on the
Is it 911 or?
911 building?
Good.
Maintenance?
I didn't know that it did, but that's possible. Have to check the nation on that.
They just get new tile or something?
To be truthful, yeah,
It's in the budget though, because they never brought a thing to us, because it's in the
I was in
budget.
there the other day. They revamped that whole thing.
But they did it out of their own
Yeah,
budget?
yeah, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a special
I forgot
project.
about
Okay.
that. I went in the other day and looked. They done a good job.
Good, good.
Yeah, 'cause I asked him about the 911. He told me. Jamie, someone took me in there. Mr. President, I move we pay the invoices as presented.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second to approve the invoices as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Mr. President, I also move that we adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second that the county commission adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye.